Alright, what is up ladies and gentlemen? So from these past couple of days, I think it is safe to say that Black Ops 6 Zombies has been under heavy fire from seemingly all of the community and has faced enormous amounts of hate and backlash ever since the Liberty Falls reveal at COD Next a couple weeks ago. The hate ever since the Liberty Falls reveal a couple weeks back has honestly reached unprecedented levels, and me personally, I have never even seen people turn their backs so fast on a mode before after initially seeing the game. I have seen so much hate from people mentioning a multitude of aspects that they dislike about the game and what they would personally do to fix it, and in today's video I just wanted to kind of take a look at all of the major hate and see if it is justified and what could be done to possibly repair it. I want to make this intro short, but if you guys do find yourselves enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe because the road to 100k is real. However, with that said, let's move on to the first major criticism I have seen from what this game has to offer. One of the biggest discussions within the community right now is the topic of the HUD in the game. The hate for the HUD is somewhat justified in my opinion, as not only does it actually have any of that zombies feeling to it like previous titles we have seen in the franchise, but it does offer many useless features that are really not needed in a zombies mode. For instance, the fact that we even have a mini map in zombies is so crazy and baffling to me, and the fact that this clearly was built for a Warzone player is extremely annoying to me, coming from, you know, a zombies player. Other problems with the HUD that I saw that many in the community honestly agree with, and I see a bunch of discussion about this online, is the annoying XP and points counter when you kill a zombie, the objective markers similar to what we saw in Cold War, and the way the perks look at the bottom of the screen and how they are positioned. This isn't really a surprise that people feel this way, as the HUD literally is just the same as the multiplayer with a couple differences. Obviously, we know with perks, drops, and field upgrades and whatever the gobblegum, but the base of the HUD is just what we see in the multiplayer. Now, before I really offer any constructive feedback, I would like to mention that yes, I am aware the HUD is completely customizable with, you know, the multitude of aspects that can be changed and moved around the screen for your preferences. However, I would like to remind you that not everything can be changed within the HUD, and a lot of what is wrong with it actually cannot be touched whatsoever. Firstly, you probably have seen others talk about this, but when using the new mutant injection kill streak, the HUD actually changes, showing you the mangler in the bottom left as like a visual, while also providing a reasonable place for both your salvage and points to be shown at all times. Just by changing the HUD to maybe feature a character in the bottom left instead of the mangler, I believe the HUD could immediately be looked upon more fondly, as the zombies feel to the HUD could be revived with a different HUD to what we see with multiplayer and Warzone. Additionally, the way points pop up in this game is extremely annoying. We saw it in Cold War where it appears right in the middle of your screen as you kill a zombie, and while it can be somewhat satisfying for a dopamine addicted person like myself occasionally, I believe it should be placed similar to where it was in past games, right by your player count and point count. This way you can see your points rising like the days of old, but it also directly isn't in your face all the time. The only other major change that I would make to this HUD is just making it seem more zombie-like. I mean, just taking a look at Black Ops 1, it was really just a simple blood splatter, and even if they did something like that, I would be so appreciative because at least they attempted to make it look unique compared to the other modes in the game. But besides that, I hope that the Treyarch team actually kind of listens to us and maybe changes it a little bit. It doesn't have to be major, but just the fact that they might change it a little bit is just a sign that they are actually listening to us. This is one of the biggest debates within the community currently, and I have seen so many videos debating this topic back and forth. However, the next issue that I'm about to mention is a humongous problem as well. Another big criticism I am seeing within specifically the more hardcore fans is the fact that the loadout systems are making a return within this game. The loadout system was originally introduced into zombies back in Black Ops 4 and has found itself in almost every game since leading up to Black Ops 6. While the loadout system will be less overpowered as it was in Cold War, since we know we have the new addition of the weapon kits in this game, I still believe that this system should not have been implemented in the way it was. In my personal opinion, I believe that you should spawn in with a pistol or weaker weapon like a melee weapon potentially, but you can complete something within the map to earn your loadout, kind of similar to how the loadout drops are in Warzone. For example, the keys that unlock the reward boxes inside the vault in Liberty Falls could easily be used to unlock your loadout instead, with the rarity of the key determining what rarity your weapon would be right off the bat. This is just a simple idea idea, of course, and to be completely honest, the loadout system in this game is not even that big of an issue in my opinion, as using it for camo grinds and such is great, but I also think they could add other modes such as Onslaught to cater more towards those camo grinders. This system could potentially be fixed with the next point I make in this video, but in the standard version of zombies, it isn't great. Now, do I completely dislike the loadout system and think it should be completely abolished? No, and in fact, I think the loadout system has a place in zombies, it just needs to be implemented in a more thought out manner. With that, let's move on to potentially one of the greatest things Treyarch has possibly done with Black Ops 6. Although this isn't a problem and something that is actually insanely good, I wanted to discuss the supposed classic mode that was leaked within the files of the game. Within the files of Black Ops 6, there was a string of text with a classic zombies mode alongside other modes such as Jingle Hells and a potential for grief to return, but that's for another video if you guys want to hear about that. But anyways, what would this classic mode have in store? Well, there is two ways to look at this. You could either be realistic about it, or you could be completely unrealistic and mention everything you want about the game to return. I have always been less of a delusional person within the community, which is surprising because I like Call of Duty Zombies and we kind of run off a delusion over here, but I did want to take a look at realistic changes that could be found within this mode if it existed. I believe personally that this mode could see the player spawning in with a pistol, disabling armor, as well as completely killing all score streaks within the game. However, there are a lot of issues that come up with removing certain aspects of this game, as there are a lot of questions that rise when you delete parts of the game. For instance, would the weapon rarity system still be a thing? Obviously, it would force the developers to try and find a balance for weapons so that they aren't too strong, since they aren't tied down to rarities, but that also brings up the question of how Pack-a-Punch might work as well. Is there just one, or is there multiple like what we see in the base game? Additionally, would kill streaks even be a thing? Would scrap exist in the game at all? There are so many questions to ask ourselves about this mode, as it has no information outside of the leak of it being mentioned in the game's files. I don't really want to go too deep into this topic, as it could make its own video in itself with a bunch of speculations, but it is also very possible that the text in this files was simply a project that they were working on that could have been scrapped through development or completely misinterpreted by leakers. However, let us return to the negative aspects of Black Ops 6 with the next point. One of my biggest problems with Black Ops 6 personally is the fact that Treyarch decided to bring back the Cold War point system instead of the classic point system we saw from World at War all the way to Black Ops 3. If you are unfamiliar, the original point system gave the player 10 points for every non-lethal bullet that hit a zombie, and depending on where you killed the zombie, it could either give you 60 for a body shot or 100 points for a headshot. Obviously, when you got a melee kill, it was 130 points as well, but with this newer Cold War point system, all of your point accumulation is based off of damage. This means that you only get the points for killing a zombie rather than actually shooting the zombie, which in turn leads to less points being gained over time. I believe that the classic system is miles better because you are adding some strategy to the game that cannot be replicated with games like Cold War, making for more strategies that are all effective in their own ways. Now, in order for this to be added, once again, there are many complications with the already established mechanics within the base game. For instance, weapon rarities would somewhat work with the old point system, but they would be extremely different and would certainly be a learning curve for the majority of players. Additionally, the perk prices would most likely probably have to be changed to having the set prices like they were in the original game, as complications with purchasing them could become a problem when progressing through rounds. However, I believe the old system could work extremely well in this mode. There might just have to be some minor tweaks to fix the issue, but the fact we don't have the old point system present just makes this game feel a little less like zombies. The final point I wanted to bring up in today's video is the fact that this mode looks and feels extremely similar to Warzone, from spawning in with a loadout weapon to the HUD and to the overall feel of certain aspects of maps, especially with Liberty Falls. Many people are not happy with the way this game looks from a outside perspective. Now, I firmly believe that if everything that I mentioned earlier is changed, this opinion will be completely thrown out the window and zombies will feel like itself again. I want to make it extremely clear that I do not think Terminus or Liberty Falls looks like a Warzone or multiplayer map, and the maps themselves I think are extremely well made and could potentially be one of the best duality of starter maps we have ever seen, but without the changes mentioned earlier, it will feel less and less like genuine zombies. I have said this multiple times before, and I will say say it again and again, Warzone has ruined not only zombies, but Call of Duty as a game in general. I mean, what we see in multiplayer with tac sprint and other elements just completely make the game instantly similar to Warzone in many ways. I hate Warzone with a burning passion. However, I think zombies can clear itself out of the way if certain changes that were mentioned earlier were implemented. However, with that, Black Ops 6 Zombies still looks amazing to me, and I am genuinely shocked that even after all these weeks, people are still upset over what we saw at COD Next and with Liberty Falls. The hate that this mode has received is honestly unacceptable, and the fact that people just dropped this game after not hearing some good news is just completely immature. Yes, there are certain problems with this game and they do need to be fixed. However, even if they aren't, it will still be a good zombies mode regardless. Oh yeah, and to those who are sending negative comments or anything more extreme to Kevin Drew or anyone else on the Treyarch team, you should honestly be ashamed, as they are truly trying their best with what they are given. Criticism is completely okay, just make it orderly and very polite, and just try to keep a healthy relationship with developers and creators like we had in the past. Anyways, I'm done yapping. Do you guys think this game needs to be changed at all? Are there aspects of the game you wish to see that aren't present? Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.